Hello, viewers. I'll be there in a few seconds. Just give me some time. I'm just getting it set up and everything. Okay, I need to tag people. Come on. Do, 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 do. He may watch. I don't know. All right. That's been shared. And this is going to be shared on the good old Twitter universe. So, with that being said, hello there, dear viewers. It is the DOUG here, and we are here another again in the facility I'm at for rehab and everything to heal. It's time for week 16, and of course, I'm doing my college playoff predictions as well in this video. Yep. Um, so here we go. Of course, let's talk about the playoffs of college real quick. I have Oregon beating JMU, and that is on Saturday, 7:30 on TNT and True TV. I have Oklahoma over Alabama. That's tomorrow night. By the way, Oregon is favored by 21 points. Oklahoma is favored by 1.5 over Alabama. That one's on ABC and ESPN. I have Ole Miss over Tulane. Ole Miss is favored by 17.5, but I will be honest, not exactly the most confident in that one because Ole Miss does have an interim head coach. I'm not exactly but they did destroy Tulane earlier this year. But we'll have to see how they play. Different coach. Which it is kind of funny, though. They don't get penalized for losing their coach, but Florida State a few years ago got penalized for losing their quarterback. It is what it is. And then I got Texas A&M over Miami. Texas A&M is favored by 3.5. I will say this, though. If you're the ACC, you're hoping Miami wins or doesn't get blown out. And I will say this for the NCAA. You are really hoping Alabama, Tulane, and JMU keep it close. Because if not, you're going to hear a lot of crickets and a lot of other people are not saying, hey, the committee got it wrong, which – I want to say this: the committee's been getting wrong every freaking season. Let's be honest here. To be honest, to me, it should have already been a 16-team playoff. I think that would have solved the problems. But by the time we get to it, I know somebody's going to be like, "Oh, the number 17." I'm sorry. At that point, if it's the top 16, you're not going to really complain because then you're not going to get it wrong at that point, usually. But that's the college playoff picks for this week. I got Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, and Oregon. I'll make the picks for the next round next week. But let's talk about the NFL from this past week, because of course that's what we're here for. So I'm going to give a quick recap to last week. Atlanta upsetted the Buccaneers, but Atlanta's hurting the Bucs' playoff chances a little bit, not by much, but a little bit, because right now they're on a dogfight with the Panthers. Ravens destroyed the Bengals 24-0. Vikings, they were eliminated. They did beat the Cowboys, hurting the Cowboys' playoff chances immensely. Dallas can still get in, and I'll explain how in a minute. Bears keeping their pretty much guaranteed playoff hopes alive, beating Cleveland 31-30. Chargers beat the Chiefs, eliminating the Chiefs from the playoffs, but Patrick Mahomes got injured. That was the more news on that one. The Bills make a comeback, beating the Patriots. The Skins beat the Giants, in which the Giants actually should be thankful they lost as it helps their draft stock. Eagles destroyed the Raiders 31-0. Excuse me, hoping the Raiders get onto the number one pick, and I'll explain that because when we get to the draft standings. Eagles pretty much next win would win the division and eliminate the Cowboys officially. Jaguars beat the Jets with ease, 48-20. Texans beat the Cardinals 40-20 in an easy win for the Texans. Broncos beat the Packers 34-26, but in doing so, for the Packers, not only did they lose, they lost Parsons for the rest of the way. Rams beat the Lions in a shootout 41-34, giving the Rams a playoff berth. By the way, the Broncos also clinched a playoff spot. Saints beat the Panthers in what makes the Panthers-Buccaneers series very interesting. Niners beat the Titans with ease. The Seahawks barely got by the Colts with Phillip Rivers, who the Colts were using Phillip Rivers. And then, of course, Monday, the Steelers eliminated the Dolphins from playoff contention. And, of course, we're going to talk about the playoff seeding in a minute. Yeah. But let's get to the Tank Bowl to see who will become the Tank champions for this year. Of course, right now, we have a three-way tie for the number one pick, Giants, Raiders, and the Titans. But Titans kind of screwed themselves a few weeks ago when they got their second win. Because if you remember, Giants and Raiders play against each other next week. So whoever loses that game will probably have the number one pick, most likely, unless, heaven forbid, Raiders, let's say, lose this week and then next week, and then the Raiders win the final game of the season, and then the Titans lose the next 3 games. So, but it will most likely be the Raiders or the Giants having the number 1 pick. We'll probably discuss that more next week as well. Taking a look at the standings right now, though, for the playoffs. Denver right now did clinch a spot. They are the number 1 seed at the moment, followed by New England, Jacksonville, and then Pittsburgh round up the top 4. Your wildcard teams right now are the Chargers, Bills, Houston. But Indianapolis and Baltimore are still alive, but they need some help. Now, for Baltimore's case, they kind of got an interesting situation here because of the fact of the schedule. And I'm going to talk about that for a minute, Baltimore and Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh plays Detroit, Cleveland, and Baltimore last, while the Ravens play, and I'm sorry it's taking a while, they play the Patriots this week, then the Packers, and then the Steelers. If both teams win the next 2 games, that will definitely make the Ravens Steelers for the division at that point. So it will be interesting. Now, of course, if you're Indianapolis, though, another team who's trying to get back in the playoffs, you are in trouble a bit because you play the Niners this week. After that, though, you do have 2 divisional games against Jacksonville and Houston, so you can still get in, but you're going to need Jacksonville and Houston to probably fall at the face of the map for that to happen, and the schedule does not look like that could happen. And I say that for this reason, bringing their schedule up as well. And I say that for this reason. Because Jacksonville, the last 3 games, they play Denver, and then they play Indianapolis, but then they're at home against the Titans. That should be an easy win. So Jacksonville could go 1-2 and will most likely still make the playoffs, most likely. Houston, though, that's the interesting one. Because they play the Raiders, which should be an easy win, and then they play the Chargers and the Colts. So Texans and Colts will probably be the 2 teams you need to keep an eye on that side of the bracket. And then, of course, Miami got eliminated already. Kansas City just got eliminated. Bengals, Jets, Browns, Raiders, and Titans are eliminated. In the NFC, the Rams are the number 1 seed at the moment, and they hold on to that if they keep winning, followed by Chicago, Philly, and then Tampa. Seattle, San Francisco, and Green Bay are your wild cards. Now, for the wild card, the only 2 teams who can steal wild card spot at this point is still Detroit and Carolina. And Carolina can also still win their division. I'm going to explain how right now as well, because that's between them and Tampa, and, well, we got a funny situation there. Dallas is not eliminated yet. They can still win the division, but they have to win out and hope Philly loses out. But the problem is the Eagles' schedule is very easy, pretty much, because they play Washington twice, and Washington's already set down all their starters because they play Washington, Bills, and then Washington. So Philly will most likely win the East. Dallas will probably be eliminated as of Saturday. And unfortunately, I'm going to say this with Dallas. A lot of it was because of your defense. Hopefully, you fire your defensive coordinator. I would love that because I think our defensive coordinator is an idiot. But, Dallas, if the offense can stay as good as they did this year for next season, Cowboys should be back to being a threat next year if they stay healthy and their defense actually improves, but we shall see. But like I said at the start of the preseason, I was not expecting Dallas to be in the playoffs because of who their defensive coordinator was. I didn't like him to begin with. But getting to Tampa Bay and Carolina, here's the thing. Tampa and Carolina play against each other twice in the next 3 weeks. There's only the difference one, which is next week's games. Tampa Bay plays Miami, who Miami doesn't have anything to play for. Carolina plays the Seahawks, who have something to play for. So don't be surprised if this Tampa-Carolina feud comes down to the end of the season, which could be the Sunday night game for the final week of the season. We shall see. As far as for Detroit, they need Green Bay to lose out at this point. That would be the best bet. Green Bay loses out. Maybe even San Francisco lose out as well, because Detroit, they play Pittsburgh, Minnesota, and then Chicago. So they're going to really need Green Bay to lose out. Now, of course, for Packer fans out there, you need to win out a bit. Same with the Niners and Seahawks. I think if the Seahawks and Niners win this week, they will also clinch a playoff spot as well. Chicago with a win will clinch a playoff spot, and Eagles win will clinch the division for this week. So let's just go a quick recap here at this point. 'Cause I'm trying to see if there's actually anybody that. I'm surprised they don't really. Yeah, because I got the playoff picture, but it's not really telling me, who's got the. How can I say this? I don't really have the scenarios on who can. So that is kind of. Yeah. But let's get to the games this week for the NFL. Of course, tonight we have the Rams and Seahawks. Seattle's favored by 1.5, but I'm going to take the Rams here. They got a better offense. The defense is just as good, but remember, Seattle just had a hard time dealing with Phillip Rivers and the Colts, only winning because of their kick. If it wasn't for that, Seattle would have lost the game most likely. So give me the Rams here to win. Then, of course, we have 2 Saturday games, which are both on Fox. We have the Eagles and the Skins. Eagles win this game. They win the division, guarantee themselves a playoff spot. Offensively, I've not been impressed with the Eagles this year. Barkley's having a down year. Maybe it's the Mountain Coast holding them down. But you're playing a Skins team who's 2-4 at home. Really nothing to play for. They've already benched all their starters they had left. So give me the Eagles to win on the road here. And then on Saturday night on Fox, we have by the way, Eagles are favored by 6.5. Packers and Bears. Packers, coming off that loss to Denver, by the way, their defense is now in trouble a bit with Parsons being out. Chicago is favored by 1.5. Give me the Bears here to win. Sorry, Travis. I got to pick Chicago here. Better defense in this case with Parsons being out. Moving on to the Sunday games. Chargers and Cowboys. I got the Cowboys at home. That is my team. I'm going down with the ship. Honestly, I know though Dallas is favored by 2.5 points to win the game, which is surprising. You'd think the Chargers would be favored, but give me the Cowboys here to win at home. I think it also depends on how Saturday goes if the Eagles do win. I don't know if Dallas will decide to bench those starters or not because they will have nothing to play for at that point. We shall see. But give me my Cowboys to win at home. Then we got the Bills and Browns. Buffalo's favored by 10.5 points. Give me the Bills here. Browns are just trying to get the season over with. This should be an easy win for the Bills. I'm playing all my fantasy Bills players this year in fantasy football. Next, Chiefs and Titans. Kansas City's favored by 3 points here. Chiefs don't have nothing to play for. I know it's more about pride because they've been eliminated from the playoffs. Mahomes is out, though, for the rest of the season because of the injury. So I will be taking the Chiefs here to beat the Titans. Titans trying to hold on to that number 1 pick. So there is that. But they need some help to get that. Then we got the Dolphins and Bengals. It just spoke that Taylor will be benched for the rest of the season. Will be interesting to see what the Dolphins do with him because they don't really have any way they can get rid of him because of money. Bengals, just trying to get the season over with. Give me the Dolphins here. It's in Miami. The Bengals are not a good road team. They're 2-5 on the road. And I think the Bengals just want to get the season over with. Plus, the Bengals have the worst defense in the league again. So give me the Dolphins here. I'm not confident with the pick, but give me the Dolphins. By the way, I'm not confident with the Bears either. But Bengals are favored by 4.5 points. So keep that in mind. Next, we have the Saints and Jets, a.k.a. we have a tank ball here. Give me the Saints here. Saints are favored by 4.5. I trust them more. Jets just fired the defensive coordinator. Jets have been a terrible team this whole year, which was expected, but I don't think anyone's expecting them to be this bad. Saints, we kind of had a feeling they would be bad because of the quarterback situation. So give me the Saints at home, which will be the 3rd home win of the year. Next, in a game that doesn't mean anything because of last week, Vikings and Giants. Vikings pretty much are just playing to see how seeing how Mr. 9 does. Giants, I think they know what they have for next season. Give me the Vikings here just because of the fact of Giants are trying to hold on to the number 1 pick just to build up that defense a bit because they have everything they need for wide receivers and offense. It's just that defense could use improving. By the way, the Giants are 2-4 at home. Minnesota is favored by 3 points, so give me the Vikings who to at least end the season on a high note, get a winning record, win the next 3 or 9-8. Bucks and Panthers, we discussed this a bit. This game kind of means something, but it's going to be the last game of the year that means everything for these two teams. This one will hold the lead in the division. Tampa Bay is favored by 3 points. Give me Tampa here, but I would not be surprised if both these teams go 1-1 after these next 2 games and then makes Bucks Panthers final game of the year mean a hell of a lot more. By the way, it is in Carolina. Keep that in mind. Broncos and Jags. Jags has had one of their best games. Broncos again showing one of the best defenses. Denver 7-0 at home. Jaguars has had one of the best games. I think they're going to fall off a bit here. Broncos win at home. Broncos are a tough team to beat in Denver this year. Denver is favored though by 3 points. And a game that doesn't mean anything at all, Falcons and Cardinals. Neither team can really tank to get the number one pick. They're both kind of middle of the road. Plus, the Falcons don't even own their pick. But give me Atlanta here. Cardinals, I think they just want to get the season over with. They don't know what they have for next year. Kyler Murray's been hurt the whole year long, so we'll have to see how they do next season. Brissett's pretty much, I think, playing to show that he can be a good backup somewhere else. He may even get the starting. I'm not even finishing that sentence. Give me the Falcons to win on the road. Steelers and Lions. This one was a hard pick because Steelers need this win to control their own destiny in the division against Baltimore, but Lions need this win and get some help to make the playoffs, which it's going to be weird to say that Detroit could have a winning record but still, get to 11 wins but miss the playoffs. But I'm going to take Detroit here. I think their defense is a little bit better than Pittsburgh. Plus, Rodgers this year has been hit or miss, to be perfectly honest. So give me the Lions here. Texans, Raiders. Give me the Texans. Raiders are a dumpster fire. By the way, Detroit is favored by 7 points, by the way, in that game I want to mention. Houston's favored by 14.5. It should be more. Raiders have no offense. Geno Smith's been terrible all year long, which is kind of sad because he was good in Seattle. We've already seen the dysfunction with the Raiders' defense. And, by the way, the Raiders are 1-6 on the road. A terrible team. Give me the Texans here. I'd be shocked if anyone really picked Raiders because Raiders are trying to get that number one pick. Don't be surprised if they tank on purpose. Of course, we have the Sunday night game, which is Patriots and Ravens. This was swapped. Baltimore needs this win to stay in pace with Pittsburgh. Patriots need this win because Patriots are 6-0 on the road. Keep that in mind. They need this win to stay ahead of the Bills because Bills can still steal the division if the Patriots lose out, which I don't think is going to happen. So give me the Patriots here. I think Ravens though still can make the playoffs, but they need to win the next 2 games because I don't see them winning this one, just based on how the Ravens have played this year. Give me the Patriots, and then Monday night I have the 49ers over the Colts. Colts have quarterback issues. Yes, Colts are 6-1 at home, but the Niners are 6-2 on the road. So give me the Niners here. Niners win this, clinch a playoff spot. So just looking ahead to next week, before we head out, by the way, Merry Christmas to everybody. Christmas Day games are kind of not that good, and I think when the NFL scheduled these, they thought these would be for playoff game spots, but they're really not because Cowboys and Skins are both eliminated. Both are just going to be playing for pride. Lions and Vikings. Vikings have already been eliminated. Lions need to win this to get help. By the way, those 2 games are on Netflix, and then the Thursday night game was Broncos-Chiefs. Doesn't mean anything because Kansas City is already eliminated and no more Mahomes because of injury. And then, of course, Saturday, you have Ravens-Packers, Texans-Chargers. Both will be playoff implications. Then Sunday, what's interesting, the Sunday night game at the moment, I don't see them switching, is the Bears and Niners. That's going to be playoff implications. And then, of course, next Monday, Rams and Falcons. Not really a playoff implications there too much because Rams are already in. So those are my picks for this week. Just as a quick recap before we go. We have Rams, Eagles, Bears, Cowboys, Bills, Chiefs, Dolphins, Saints, Vikings, Buccaneers, Broncos, Falcons, Lions, Texans, Pats, and the 49ers. Enjoy the football this week. If you're traveling to get ready for Christmas next week, please be safe. And I will see you guys next week for more NFL here at the library. But don't forget, I do still stream on YouTube. I cannot be on my headset because of where I'm at. Until then, peace out, much love, and see you all next week or later tonight. Hello.
So what do you think is going to happen with the